English language arts. Have you ever struggled with this as a child? Do you struggle with it now? English language arts are often associated with literacy rates. Hello, my name is Micah Shields and I've done a lot of research on this organization. This organization is called Book Harvest. I have been a regular volunteer and one with particularly more access than a regular volunteer due to my mom working there for many years. Because of this, I've had opportunities to interact with all of the staff on a personal level, including the owner, and to see them all work and see the love that they have for what they do. I've been behind the scenes and I've seen other people come in and out, and I've seen the effects that this place can have on people. My purpose of this speech is to persuade or encourage you to uplift those with disadvantageous head starts in literacy, academics, and in English language arts. The people that this is affecting are members of our society. They are human beings and they are citizens. They are integrated into the fabric of our nation, and what happens to them affects us, and what happens to us affects them. The problem is that in low-income families and low-income communities, there's less access to books than there is in middle-income families and communities. This is detrimentally affecting the English language arts skills of these communities and the people who are growing up in them. And this can be detrimental to these people's academic futures. The solution is to support an organization that makes it its mission to supply books to those who need it most, from children to adults and everyone in between. Those in low-income families and communities have less access to books. This can be very detrimental to academic futures, which can be accurately predicted by the third grade reading levels of children. And third grade reading levels of children are heavily influenced by the reading that happens at home or lack thereof. This can cause disbenefits to be passed down generation to generation in the form of generational curses. The Urban Child Institute focuses on economically disadvantaged children and making sure that they are ready for kindergarten and making sure that they are reading on grade level by third grade. According to an article entitled "Poverty Can Jeopardize the Development of Literacy and Early Reading Habits," which was published in 2012, too often gaps in reading readiness and language development become academic achievement gaps. According to Robert George, a senior research fellow at the University of Chicago, and his colleagues Joy Lesnick and Cheryl Smith-Gall's article from 2010 entitled "Third Grade Reading Level Predictive of Later Life Outcome, Demographic Characteristics such as poverty, and 8th grade reading performance" explain much of the difference between college enrollment rates across the third grade reading level. Since there are less books in these communities, that means that these children are being surrounded by a smaller vocabulary, and this is affecting their neural pathways. As people, our neural pathways are generally solidified by the time that we are 1 year old. If they grow up being surrounded by less grammar, different types of grammar, and different words, then they will automatically have a disadvantageous head start in comparison with their peers from middle-income families. And since there are significantly less books per child in low-income families in relation to their middle school peers, they have a serious disadvantage. Literacy skills are essential when beginning education and even in furthering education. This can have lasting effects on people and their academic futures and can affect their language development, which is so important as humans in this world. This can affect people's college enrollment rates from the very beginning. At the W.G. Pearson Center in Durham, North Carolina, a child walks across the stage to get their diploma. The surrounding children are not necessarily classmates. These children and the audience are gathered for an annual Book Harvest Book Babies graduation ceremony. Book Harvest is a non-profit organization. They give out free books, and they are willing to meet families where they are in order to give them what they need. And they're also very sensitive and very culturally diverse in the books that they give to people, and they accept everyone in and everyone who needs help. According to the website, bookharvest.org, Each of the graduates and their parents receive home visits from a staff member several times a year since their birth, along with 10 brand new books each visit. They believe that books at birth are a right that every child deserves to have, and they believe strongly in supporting parents where they are so that way they can give their child the best chance that they can at being on par with other children from different communities in spite of the demographic differences. I propose that in order to support this organization to the best of our ability, we should all volunteer. In order to do this, you would go to the website, which is bookharvest.org, click on the Get Involved link, and then click on the volunteer option. There are a plethora of different ways you can volunteer for this organization, and they make it very simple and easy. You can be a one-time volunteer, you can be a regular volunteer, you can volunteer in groups, or you can volunteer by yourself. You can volunteer to run a book drive, which are very effective, and you can volunteer to be a part of the quarterly book sort, which is where members of the community come together to help Book Harvest sort through books, since they have books for all different ages and all different languages, for different languages such as Spanish and English, and they have many different Spanish speakers and English speakers and their staff, so that way they can help everyone who walks through the door. And also, one of their biggest events annually is the Dream Big event. This happens on MLK Day. At the Dream Big event, there are a very large amount of books that are put all around a space, sometimes outside, sometimes inside, and lots of volunteers come out to help sort the books and sticker them and then load them into crates so that way they can be shipped around to all of the different Book Harvest stations, so that way people in different communities all over the state can get access to the books that they need. There are lots of little attractions for small children. There's usually a beignet truck, and they also bring dancers and jump ropers, and it's a very entertaining thing. And it really makes you feel good, especially when you get to see one of your books when you're stickering all the other ones. There are many different benefits to volunteering with this organization. And it affects the organization, it can benefit the volunteer, and it benefits the clients, those who are affected and helped by this organization. Since this organization is a nonprofit, it heavily relies on its volunteers in order to make it the best that it can be and make it the most effective, especially since they want to make this organization statewide and nationwide so they can help everyone as much as they can. It's also very beneficial to volunteers. This can be useful for networking. It's also very gratifying to the soul to help other people. It can also help with volunteer hours for those who need those. And for personal experience, it feels really good to help people. And it can also help get people, or maybe even your children or your friends, out in the community. Now, I know that not everyone has the time, not everyone has the desire to be around people, or even the desire to be around books in the same way that some other people may do, like myself. So another alternative is to give. You can give by donating books. If you want to give it another way, you can go to the website, bookharvest.org, click on the Get Involved tab, and then click on Give. And there are a plethora of different options to do this. A convenient way is just to donate books. It's very simple, it does not take long, and you're getting rid of books if you don't like books. All you have to do is go to one of the many different locations that they have on the website and go in there, drop off your books, and then they will be picked up and taken to Book Harvest Home Center, and then they will make sure to distribute those books to those who really need them and will appreciate them. I call you all to go out of your way to dedicate time or dedicated time or spare time, or to give books in order to help the literary stimulation through Book Harvest of all these people from low-income families, or those who were raised without access to books and have been affected by it. All it takes is spare, dedicated time and a willing heart. This is an amazing experience, and it is wonderful to see all of the different people who are affected by it. The clients, as I mentioned earlier, are always so touched by all the strangers, unpaid volunteers who care enough to go out of their way to make sure that they have what they need or what their children need in order to better their futures for good. Thank you.